What is going on, everybody? It's your favorite everything. This is JR Wisdom back with another episode of the Atlanta Noire Podcast. And this evening, guys, I got a special guest. You guys may recognize his face. You guys may recognize his voice because he's usually behind the camera. But he is an Atlanta celebrity, in my opinion, even though he says otherwise. But he puts out great content, very informative content for you guys to get a different view of the city of Atlanta. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce this great content creator, Marcus from Atlanta Street Interviews. How you doing, brother?
Mr. JR Wisdom, one of my favorite YouTubers, man. Hey. And I got to do this for the people. What's up, YouTube?
Y'all see the boys, for the people. First of all, how was your drive here, brother?
Oh, it was good. Atlanta traffic. But I drive fast, so I got my Jeep. You know, I be whipping. I be doing my thing.
Yeah.
I got the doors off. Whenever I got the doors off,
you gotta go.
I feel a little extra saucy. You know, a little sauce, a little extra sauce.
Yeah. So we here. I first obviously came across your content many years ago. I reacted to it.
Remember that? Big salute. Absolutely.
A couple videos, and I thought it was quite interesting, like a lot of people, because you was getting a different view of the city of Atlanta. Because for some reason, that Atlanta name, people just tune in. And people are very intrigued by the lifestyle. And that's the reason why I decided to do this podcast, is to highlight a lot of the people who are from and or live in Atlanta, and just to share their experience on things, and just to give you even more insight. I reacted to two videos. I think one was a dude that was panhandling, and I think the other dude, he was making bank by panhandling.
Yeah.
And another one, he was like, yo, I clap nothing but BBWs, is what he was saying. And I think it was another chick who basically, I think something like she was dating an older dude and she left him, and then she ended up homeless, and then she tried to get back with him, and you was like, yo, you was like, why don't you hit him up, let him know you're homeless, and something along those lines. I know you done countless, so I'm
thousands. So,
but for the people who don't know, including myself, where are you originally from?
So I was actually born in Mount Vernon, New York. Money earning Mount Vernon.
Bronx.
Shout out that Mount Vernon, man. On top of the Bronx.
Heavy D,
right?
Heavy D, right. Puff Daddy.
Locks, you know, Yonkers from Yonkers. Yeah, shout out to that whole area.
Denzel.
Shout out to the whole city. Denzel Washington. Okay, so you know a little bit.
Yeah.
You know a little bit about Mount Vernon. A lot of folks don't really know about Mount Vernon. Because if you talk to somebody from New York, if they from like Brooklyn or something like that, they're going to call it upstate.
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, you live upstate. Be like, nah, it's not quite upstate.
Yeah.
It's on top of the Bronx. It's right there. So,
right.
But yeah, so shout out to Mount Vernon. But I actually moved down here to Atlanta when I was 5.
When you were 5.
So this is where I'm from. I'm from the east side, Decatur.
East side, Decatur. Okay.
Shout out that Zone 6, man. Shout out the whole east side all day.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like growing up on the east side, Decatur area? What was it like growing up?
It was awesome, man.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I just think that, I don't know, something about growing up in this city, and I think a lot of people can tell you this that's from here, especially that's around our age, is that it was just lit. Like, you got to imagine, this is before, by the time the national culture started to shift towards Atlanta culture, I was about 20 or so. So the whole time growing up, everything that we was doing was the preface to that. Okay? And so it was organic, it was lit, we had fun. It's so many pretty girls in this city. And that's still to this day. But even growing up, it's like it's awesome, man. I had a really good time. I lived in a neighborhood that was like a trap, whatever. So like the street that I lived on, like literally hoes and pimps sometimes, but mostly the hoes and the drug dealers would be walking that track. And that was literally right in front of my house. So I grew up in a neighborhood. It's called Belvedere. It's on the east side. Shout out that east side again, the whole B-Town, Belvedere. If you know about it, you know about it. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit gentrified these days, but back then it wasn't no neighborhood to really play with. If you didn't know nobody in there, you might mess around and get robbed or this or that, or anything could happen to you. I know several killers, probably more than I can count on one hand. They have a couple of them been on First 48. all type of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So a lot of the folks I grew up with got caught up in the hood stuff, but me, I come from a 2-parent household. We was from New York. My dad's Caribbean. We didn't go to the school in the neighborhood. We went to schools elsewhere.
Okay.
I had what I consider a good mixed upbringing. I got the hood stuff and all like that, but I also went to school with white folks and things like that. I'm a mixed bag.
Got you. I know growing up, obviously, well, for the people who've been watching me, people who don't know, I'm from South Carolina.
Okay.
A little small town called Walterboro.
Okay.
Young Scooter.
Yeah. No, Scooter.
Yeah, Scooter's from my neighborhood. For the people here in Atlanta, Scooter and Kyrie, I think that's his brother, Kyrie. Yeah, they both from my neighborhood. Very small town. So the only thing we really heard about Atlanta, Decatur specifically, was Outkast. Because from my understanding,
So they're not from Decatur, but it's in that song.
Yeah.
Oh, I always the 86 Lithonia headed to Decatur. You feel me?
So where they from?
They from the SWATs.
Oh, they from Southwest Atlanta.
They from the SWATs. They from the SWATs. Shout out to SWATs, man. But yeah, they not from Decatur.
Got you. My bad. I always thought they was from. Hey, that's just how much I know.
They threw it in there in that song. They threw it in there in that song.
Yeah.
Decatur. So just give you a little bit of history, right? A lot of black folks was in the city. They was in Atlanta in the 50s, the 60s, stuff like that, right? And in the 60s, Decatur was lily white. 96% or so white. And then in the 70s, the first black folks started to move out there. And back then, the racism was so heavy that as soon as the first black folks started moving in, them white folks started selling their house. And it only took 1 decade to go from Decatur being majority white to 90-some% black. 1 decade. 1970, it was still mostly white. By the time 1980 came, black. So you got a lot of folks that moved out there that were doing okay. They had a job and middle class type deal, but they were still from the city. They were still from Atlanta or from out of town. You got tons of people like my parents that moved to Atlanta and they settled in Decatur. So the energy of Decatur is, again, the kids were raised by parents that grew up maybe in the hood or stuff like that. So even though it was like a middle class kind of looking area at the time, it became really hood. And like they had a lot of hood stuff going on out there even before I was born.
Got you.
So yeah, and I got here in 1989. By the time I got here, like I say, my neighborhood was a trap.
I see.
Yep.
What was it like in high school? What type of kid were you in high school?
In high school, so I went to Lakeside, man. Shout out them Lakeside Vikings. I went to Lakeside High School, man. It's Northeast Atlanta.
Okay.
It's a white area.
Okay.
Back then they had a program called M to M, minority to majority. Wow. So basically, black parents had the option of foregoing their kid going to the neighborhood school, and they could go to the school in the white area. And so a lot of people did that. So like Lakeside, even though it was in the white area, was about 40% or so black. So it was almost half and half.
Gotcha.
And so yeah, in high school, I was cool. I had my friends and everything else. And then by the time I became like a junior and senior, I had a little popularity.
Okay.
I had a gold teeth.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I had a car with beat in it. We used to swerve. I don't know if that was a thing everywhere, but we used to be swerving, cutting the wheel and stuff, man. I had what I would consider medium to maybe a little bit high level of popularity.
Got you.
So people knew me. And, I had a couple girls.
Had a couple girls? I feel you. No.
You feel me?
Yeah, I always like to ask people what type of person they were back in high school as opposed to now. Because this guy that I've interviewed before named Javon Clark. He's very popular on Facebook. And he has a theory that, and this isn't high school, but he has a theory that we are all our 7th grade self. Even whoever we are in the 7th grade, that's who we are as an adult. That's his theory when it comes to that. High school, I don't necessarily agree with what he's saying. I know he said his thoughts on that. But I always feel like you can change so much over time, basically from high school up until you're in adulthood or whatever. So,
Tons of
for
people.
sure.
I know tons of people, man. But for me, kind of accurate. The elementary school I went to, we were the last class that went all the way up to 7th grade
Got you.
in our area. So I was actually in elementary school in 7th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It was like,
Same here.
yeah, so we was like the seniors type deal. And it was lit. Like 7th grade was all the way lit. So
Wow.
shout out to Midvale Elementary. And then I did 1 year at Henderson Middle School because we was like the first class of that middle school, and then Lakeside High School.
Right.
Yep.
So what'd you get into after graduation? Did you go to college or
I did. I had a full academic scholarship to Howard University.
Howard?
Yep. I accepted that scholarship, went up there. It was cool. Like I say, that was 2001,
Okay.
right? At that point in Atlanta, we had our whole own culture. And what I'm talking about, I ain't talking about necessarily Outkast and that stuff. I'm talking about Pastor Troy. I'm talking about just the underground
DSGB.
stuff that was just really, for our age, those were our artists.
Right.
T.I. was just coming out in 2001. So it was really starting to get lit. And as soon as it's lit, I left.
You had
We had Lil Jon. We had all this music, all this crunk music, all this really aggressive music that was just at the club. We used to be in the club just
yeah.
lit.
Oh yeah.
bouncing around, crunk.
Oh, yeah.
And so I left and went up to DC. And in DC, and not just DC, but the culture of the kids that end up going to Howard, they like was on New York's deep.
For sure.
So if you was from Cali, Oklahoma, Detroit, it don't matter where you was from, you was damn near like dressing and representing like you was
Right.
from New York. And so I didn't necessarily like that, even though I'm from New York. But I used to go up in the summers to New York to visit, spend time with my family, my cousins, grandma and them, all that. And I used to always be arguing with my cousins about who was more fire, New York or Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I always was team Atlanta, always.
For sure.
So when I went up to Howard and everything was like New York, I was like, oh God. And so it was cool. I liked it. A lot of pretty girls. My dumb ass had a girlfriend at the time back home. And I was trying to be faithful. I was a young guy. I was idealistic. Trying to be faithful and everything else. I didn't really smash as many girls as I should have. And I was only there for 2 years before I just got homesick. And so I came back and I went to Georgia State.
Got you.
And that's where I did my last couple years at.
Okay. Yeah, when you talk about DC, like DC, Northern Virginia, Maryland, it's all that they do have a weird type thing. They don't know what they want to be.
And
No offense.
right, shout out to the DMV because
yeah.
here's the thing. They actually have their own culture. They got, what is lit? And at the time that I was at Howard, it was going through gentrification. So it was in the hood, but it was little pieces of gentrification starting to pop up. And so it was cool. It was cool. But specifically, I'm talking about Howard, like the campus. That culture was mostly New York.
Got you.
And so, yeah, but it's funny because I visited the campus a couple years after I left. And then by that time, it was like ATL.
Yeah.
I was like...
It was a shift. You know what I
Right.
mean? So when you finished school, Georgia State, what did you get into once you finished school?
So technically, I didn't graduate.
Okay.
So I got up to, I think I got 40-something credits to go. But what happened was I was bartending at the time.
Okay.
And I was serving at first. Got promoted to bartender. Shout out to TGI Fridays. All right.
That's right. Yeah.
And the long and short of it is that, man, I would be there till 2, 3 in the morning. And so I eventually was like, all right, let me just take a semester off, whatever like that. I took a semester off, and long story short is, sorry about that, I ended up winning these tickets to this Gucci Mane concert at Club Chocolate. Club Chocolate was a club on the east side. Shout out to Club Chocolate for sure. And
you're doing a lot. I know a lot of people from Atlanta watching. They know everything you talk about.
Yeah.
You name dropping. I feel you.
Yeah. So Club Chocolate on the east side, and I won tickets to the Gucci Mane show. So and this was by me calling the radio. And I never called a radio station, but one night I was riding home. It was late at night, and they was like, "Yeah, call the number 9 or whatever. Go win tickets to the Gucci Mane concert." Someone told me to call. So, and I'd never done this before.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever. I called the number. I was the 9th caller. I was like, what? So won the tickets, went up, got the tickets, and went to Club Chocolate that night. And I saw these two guys, these two young guys, and their names was E.T. and J Nix. And they worked for the radio station. So they were hosting the party. All they was doing was walking around with a microphone talking shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we up in here. This thing crunk, man. Hot 1079. And they got paid for that. So I walked up to him. I was like, how do I get to do what you doing? I love the club, right? Back then, I used to go to the club every weekend.
Yeah.
Man, they was like, you got an intern at the radio station.
Right.
So I was like, okay. So I went up to the radio station. I was like, how do I become an intern? And the lady was like, you got to be in college, and we're accepting new interns at the beginning of the semester. Now, mind you, I had just took a semester off, so I wasn't technically in college.
Right.
And this was in late November, so I had to wait about a month or so because January was when the next semester. So I was about to wait about a month and a half. And so I went ahead and typed up a letter. I went ahead and got a letterhead from Georgia State, typed up a letter saying I was in college. And when it was time, I took it up there, and they accepted it. I got the internship. I'm still working. I'm a server at this point at Papados. Shout out to Papados.
Shout out to Papados.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm a server. And long story short, man, I wasn't doing any of the remotes. Remote is when you go out with the radio station. If they go to McDonald's, they go here, they go there. So I wasn't getting to do any of the remotes because all the Hot 1079 remotes was in like the afternoon and evening. By that time, I'd have to go to work. So I'd go to the praise station remotes or the jazz station remotes, but I wasn't getting like the experience that I wanted. Right. I was a lowly intern. There were 20 of us, and other people were like getting more shine than I was. So I had to make a decision after about a month and a half. So this was like in February, midway through February. It was Coretta Scott King's funeral. So it might have been January. So it might have been like a few weeks into the internship. It was Coretta Scott King's funeral. And I said, man, you know what? I might have to stop working. Because if I'm doing this internship, once in a lifetime opportunity, I want to be able to give it my all. So I did that. I had a few months worth of rent saved up. And so I left Papados, and I literally was an unpaid intern full time. Okay? I think I was 22 at the time. So I'm like, okay. So I start going to all the remotes, and I start coming up. And the praise station lady saw me coming up. She saw me working hard. She was like, you know what? I see you working hard. I'm going to give you opportunity. I want you to book and host the stage for, it was called Wing Fest at that time.
Okay.
So I remember when you called me that day, I was at Auburn Fest or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Okay. They have 4 of those.
Okay.
Or so every year. This was one of them. So they're all similar, right? It's like a bunch of vendors, people come out and whatever.
Got you.
This one happened to be centered around wings, and the praise station had its own stage. Long story short, I booked 6 acts for the stage. So I got my booking experience, and I hosted. When I was up there hosting, and I have a colorful personality even back then. So when I was up there hosting, the number one guy in charge for Hot 1079, shout out to Jerry Smoking B. All right, shout you out, OG. I don't know if you're still around, but shout out Jerry Smoking B, man.
Shout out.
He's an ATL legend for sure. And he was running Hot 107, at least in radio. He was running Hot 1079. He seen me up on the stage doing my thing. So he was like, okay. So that was the first little crack that I had to get in the door. 2 weeks later, it was Easter. And at Gresham Park Recreation Center, they had 2 rooms. One room where the VJs that actually worked were hosting, and they had like this little back room. Nobody was hosting it. They had like this janky microphone, this little setup speaker or whatever. And that was just like kids and stuff was back there. Or, I don't know. It was, the main room was the main room, and this was like this little side room. So I seen that nobody was on the mic. And I'm just an intern, okay? The actual paid VJs are doing their thing on the mic
Right.
in the main room. So of course, I pick up the microphone. I just start hosting. I'm hosting. I'm talking, just doing whatever, right?
Yeah.
Jerry Smoking B came in and he seen that. So he was like, okay, I see this kid, right?
Yeah.
So long story short, at the end of the semester, when it's time to end the internship, mind you now, there's 20 of us, right? They only pick one intern to stay on. I got picked as the intern, right? So shout out to me. I got picked as the intern, and I got put under the number 2 guy in charge. His name was Bill Black. Mm-hmm. Shout out my OG Bill Black. You hear me? Shout you out, Bill. I know you might watch this. Shout you out. Man, that man taught me so much. He taught me editing, and he taught me the psychology of radio. And I learned editing so fast that everybody at the radio station was like, because I started cutting up the commercials. And they was like, wait, the intern cut up the commercials? He just got back here. And so I was literally like, I was considered almost the golden child that summer. So I'm on my high horse. I'm interning, doing great. The same guy that owned Club Chocolate, where this all started, his name was Mark Jones. He saw that I was doing my thing. And me and him had already had a rapport because I had bartended for him a couple times since then or whatever. He saw I was doing my thing. He was like, look, I see you doing your thing. I know you want to host parties. So I'm going to give you the Saturday night spot. Now, this was maybe 7 months. This is in July. This is 7 months after I started my internship. The whole reason I came here was because I saw them hosting the party.
Right.
And I was like, that's what you get paid for that? I can do that. So now this guy's giving me this opportunity. In 7 months, I made it happen. So I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Okay, so that weekend I was set to host. They had this event called, I forget what the event was called. It was some car show. I forget what the actual name of it was, but it was a car show that summer. And at the car show, they had the main VJs hosting for the radio station. But again, I was doing my thing at the radio station. Everybody had loved me. Like, the sales guy tried to recruit me away from Bill Black because he saw that this guy might be really good at sales, which I'm a 20-year sales veteran, right? Just throw that out there.
Yeah,
all right,
for sure. Yeah.
Long story short, I keep saying that, but we had this car show and it was lit. And the VJs are hosting for the radio station. The guy who ran the website, his name was Spider. Shout you out. I don't know if he's still around, but Spider, he had liked me, and so I was doing my thing. So he asked me, he was like, do you want to host for the web page? Hell yeah, I want to host for the web page. Now, this is 2000 and either 6 or 7. So the internet was kind of just like, the radio stations was just starting to have like web pages and stuff like that. We didn't like Instagram, Facebook, none of that stuff existed. So it was just the web page, MySpace, stuff like that. So I'm hosting the web page. And because it's video, there's a camera on me. Whereas the actual VJs that actually work for the radio station, they were just hosting for the radio.
Right.
There's no camera on them. So everybody's looking, what is going on right now? Like, why does this intern seem like he has more shine or whatever than like us who actually work here? And radio station VJs are like hella like cognizant of new people coming up. Because they know the next new person is an intern right now, could be a star tomorrow. So I put a little bit of a target on my back. Plus, I was, 20? I had just turned 23. Shout out to DJ Unk, because DJ Unk performed at my birthday party that year.
In a while, DJ
yeah,
Unk.
DJ Unk, walk it out, you feel me?
Yeah.
I called up Unk myself. I called up Big Unk, man. Big Unk, I know you don't remember this, but a young man called you up and booked DJ Unk for his birthday party at Club Envy East back in the day. That was me. And DJ Unk came and performed. It was lit. Long story short, though. So I'm on my high horse. And And I was doing my thing. I'm acting a fool. Like I always been me. So I'm hosting. I'm like taking cuts in between. Like they had models there. They had on these short shorts and stuff like that. I'm like doing commentary like in between their legs. Like I'm like bending down. So the visual is almost like the Luke album cover. Yeah. The visual is almost like that. Like I'm sitting there talking with a microphone and says Hot 107.9 and all you is legs and wow. So I'm lit. I told y'all I was cutting commercials. And so the way the radio station works is whenever a commercial is bought and paid for, it goes to the sales department and they have to write up a ticket of everything that's going to happen on that commercial. Mm-hmm. And it has to get approved. So the ticket had already got approved for Saturday night. Mark, who was the guy that said, hey, you're going to do the Saturday night parties. I was like, hey, the ticket's already approved, so I can't put myself on here or whatever. Right. He was like, man, just put it on there. I'll work it out with the salespeople on the back end. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, he's the one paying the money. I'll go ahead and do it. Dumb mistake that I made. I should have just been like, nah, I'll just wait till next week, and then I'll be in a commercial then. But I was so just ready to like be that person that I wanted to be. So I'm the one cutting up the commercials, put myself on the commercial. And Jerry Smoking B, he's riding around on Saturday night. After I done did all this stuff at the car show and everything else, he's riding around Saturday night. He hears his intern on the commercial saying that he's hosting a party. So oh, no. So I get to the radio station that Monday, and I see Bill Black, who's, my direct boss, and Jerry Smoking B sitting in a studio with the door closed, and they got my footage up on the screen. So I walk in, I'm immediately like, all right, this is either really good, and I'm about to be told that, hey, you're a VJ now, you got a spot, or it's really bad. Turned out to be really bad. And it wasn't even the footage or anything that got me in hot water. It was the fact that I put myself on that commercial. Got you. And I had got suspended for 2 weeks. And when I came back, I didn't have full access to the studio. Like I had, when I was an intern before, full access to any studio. Mm-hmm. They got 5 studios in Hot 107.9. Full access, and I could be there anytime. I used to be up there 2, 3 in the morning. Like that was my home. I lived there. I only went home to shower and come back. Mm-hmm. Okay? And yeah, man, that really hurt my feelings, man, because I was young, dumb, full of ego and pride. So when I got suspended and then they told me I didn't have full access, I just fell off after that. Got you. I fell off after that. So that was a really important part of my life because that was like my dream at that point, and I blew it. And so I had kind of was broke, busted, and disgusted for about 6 months. Less than that, maybe about 4 or 5 months, broke, busted, and disgusted. And that Christmas, I'm living back in mom's house. Mind you now, I've been living on my own for the most part since I left, okay? Now I'm 23 years old, living back in mom's house, broke, busted, and disgusted. I'm like, what is going on? Like, how did you get here? Mm-hmm. Like, you was full scholarship Marcus. You was superstar intern Marcus. You was all this stuff. And now you living at mom's house at the age of 23 and you ain't got nothing going for yourself. I went ahead and when January hit, I got this rinky-dink door-to-door sales job. Okay. I tell people this story all the time. Rinky-dink door-to-door sales job. I was only there for 3 weeks because it took them a little while to get the background check back, but I had possession of marijuana on my background. And the company that we was doing the campaign for, shout out to Bell South. They don't exist no more, but shout out to Bell South. And so Bell South at the time didn't allow any type of marijuana stuff on the background checks. Mm-hmm. So I was only there for 3 weeks. But the 3 weeks I was there was a guy named Kevin Smith that trained me. Mm-hmm. And this guy gave me $1 million sales training. When I tell you I only made $900 over the course of those 3 weeks, I didn't make a lot of money, but the training that I got, I still use to this day to get interviews, to just deal with people, everything. So the long and short of it is that I got fired from that job, and I was like, man, I'm going to sue. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. They can't fire me for that. But something in the back of my head was like, nah, brother, just move on to the next thing. Literally responded to this ad that said, "Do you like sports or whatever?" I was like, "Yeah." Turned out to be a job at the airport selling credit cards for AirTran Airways. Okay, signing people up for the AirTran rewards card.
Got you.
That was my first six-figure job. I got there, and the sales training that I had got from the rinky-dink door-to-door sales job, I just was the number one guy as soon as I walked into the airport and was immediately making six figures. Okay, at 23. So I went from broke, busted, and disgusted 2 months ago to six-figure shouting.
Got you.
First six-figure time in my life. I bought a BMW. I had jewelry, Ed Hardy, glasses, all the sneakers. Like I used to tear South Cab Mall up. Like, yeah, it was lit. So that's kind of how my story went up until 23. And I held that job for like 4 years. And that was, like I say, my first stint into making six figures. I was young, dumb, and just full of cum.
Hey, I feel you, man.
So that was the long answer to your question.
Nah, I got you. So you stuck with them, or you just switched to other sales jobs throughout?
A new company eventually came in and got rid of all the management, because at that point I was a manager.
Okay.
And so I was there for 4 years. When that new company came in, some of the folks that I had worked with during the old campaign, one guy in particular who is my brother, Mike Spear, man, he eventually got this contract to do the free phones, the free cell phones. So this is when they first started. And we were the first team in Georgia. Like they're all over the place now, but we was the first team to set up our tent on the ground and give away free phones on the spot. They used to do free phones, but you used to have to basically get them in the mail.
Now, this isn't the Obama phone.
This is the Obama phones.
Okay.
All right. This is 2010.
Got you.
Okay. 2010 is. So I had went like almost a year where I had like about 7 different jobs. Okay. And then once the campaign started, that's what I did for the next 4 or so years.
Got you.
And I was on the ground floor. But yeah, the long and short of it, man, is that that job took me all over the country. Because at that point, I was not just a manager, but I was like the recruiter. So I would basically go to anywhere that there's a hood. And I would basically recruit folks to work that job, train them on how to do it. And once they were trained, I'd pick up and go to the next town.
Got you.
So I was everywhere. Baltimore, New Orleans, Chicago, Gary, Indiana, Indianapolis, Indiana, Louisville, Kentucky, St. Louis, Missouri. Shout out to St. Louis, man. We used to tear St. Louis up, man. We used to tear St. Louis up. But yeah, that job. So a lot of times for anybody that watches me, you see me talking about all these different places, it's because I probably been there and know some folks there, because I used to hire people. I used to have to be in the trenches. You don't do the free phones in the bougie neighborhood. You do it in the hood. So yeah, that's where a lot of that stuff comes from. So
got you. So pivoting, how did you come up with the Atlanta Street interviews? How did that happen?
Man, shout out to Kevin Samuels, man. Shout out to the Godfather.
Shout out to
the show.
Rest in peace.
So I wasn't even into YouTube until somebody had put on Facebook a clip of the Average at Best thing. Right. It was the short clip. So I was like, what is this guy, man? Talking to this nice young lady or whatever, man. What is this guy thinking about, right? So I went over and checked it out and saw the fuller clip with the context in it.
Right.
I was like, okay, I see this guy, okay. Started binge watching all this content, became a huge fan, right? So that's how I got into YouTube. And then I was like, man, Kevin's making some money doing this. But I didn't really have an idea or nothing until, so I was selling insurance at the time. Shout out to Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield. I was selling insurance, and the type of insurance I sold was for like basically people who had like nothing.
Gotcha.
So a lot of people in the shelters and stuff like that would qualify. So I'd be at the shelters a lot, selling insurance, doing stuff like that. And I don't know, I guess I have the type of spirit or energy to where people would just come up to me and start telling me their story about, man, this is why I'm here, man. Like they wanted to prove to me that they was not
once upon a time
a bum and stuff like that. They'd be telling me all these stories, and after a while I started to forget them. And I was like, man, somebody needs to document these stories.
Yeah.
Like, these are really good, and they could probably help people to understand why folks get to be homeless. Right. So, light bulb. It was like, all right, Kevin Samuels does his interviews. I ain't gonna necessarily be doing it like Zoom calls or nothing, but I'm gonna just be doing them out in the street.
Live on the street.
So I'm interviewing folks, right? And so I was like, Atlanta street interviews. That's literally how I came up with it. And so when I had the idea, I didn't act right away. I had the idea for about 3 or 4 months before I did anything. And what happened was, me and the mother of my kids, we was in a 14-year relationship. But at this point, the relationship was starting to crumble. We was going through marital counseling. We wasn't married, but we were going through marital counseling. And our counselor, this was like our second counselor, our counselor had suggested that we take a trip. And so we booked a trip to Jamaica and had a great time. And I just had this kind of spiritual, I ain't gonna say awakening, but just like energy just hit me and was like, you know what? You got to do this when you get back. Don't hesitate. And when I tell you, because I was also trying to do bodybuilding shows up to that point. And so I said, you're going to do both of them. You're going to do both of them. So I got back. I immediately got to work on Atlanta street interviews. I took $100 out the bank in fives. So back in the day, I just used to do $5 for an interview, right?
And for a while, you kept that a secret, because I remember when you had told me,
because people was like, you only get $5? Like, don't worry about my business, okay?
Right.
But the long and short of it is that I took $100 out and I did 20 interviews. And when I tell you 17 of them were ass, okay? They ended with people cursing me out, or just be like, man, fuck this interview, man. What you doing, man? Or about to try to fight me and stuff. It was like, I hadn't found my flow yet. But I did do 3 decent ones.
Okay.
So the 3 decent ones, I posted to YouTube. And they forgot about it. Now, one of them was really good. It was a 9-minute video. And I had got the guy to tell his secret, which was that basically the reason why he got divorced from his wife of 23 years, they were business owners and everything, was because he cheated. And so I was like, that's it? Like, you cheated how many times? He was like, once. I was like, she divorced you for only cheating once? And he was like, it was real bad. I was like, what happened? He's like, nah, I don't want to talk about it. I want to tell you. You know me. Yeah. I be pressing, right?
You got to tell me, bro.
Right? Yeah. So I was like, nah, come on, man. You done told us this much, man.
Yeah.
So he was like, all right. It was with the man. Jaw drop moment. Jaw drop moment. I was like, what? So I had to keep my composure. So I kept asking follow-up questions and stuff. I was like, as soon as I ended, I was like, oh my God, this is good. This is good. So posted it and pretty much forgot about the channel. Posted those 3 videos, forgot about the channel, because bodybuilding takes everything out of you. Yeah. So mental, physical, emotional, everything. And me and the mother of my kids were doing a show at the same time. We were both training for a show. If you're in any household with a bodybuilder, only one person at a time, because there tends to be irritability and all type of stuff because you're at a caloric deficit, you're working out, it's a lot. So we both got second place in our first that was like her second bodybuilding show. That was my first one. I got second place, did well. And then I was like, I'm going to do one a few weeks from now. So I did one 3 weeks later, and it was an even bigger show, and I got first place in that one. Nice. So I won a sword.
This is NPC? Or this is?
Yes. All right. I won a sword, which is my trophy, and I'm a huge, like, He-Man and Thundercats. That was what I grew up on. So they both had swords. Facts. So Thundercats, so me winning a sword, oh man, that was a huge deal. Long story short, won the show. I was selling insurance at the time. Work got heavy. It was the heavy season where we have to sign a lot of people up. So I completely forgot about the channel. And I'm out there jacked. I'm out there looking good and everything else. But my relationship is crumbling. Fast forward now, all that, I got back from Jamaica in July. Fast forward to January. All the stuff happened. I did the show, all that stuff, work, boom. Fast forward to January, I start getting these emails from YouTube with the heading YouTube comment, YouTube comment,
Right.
YouTube comment. So why the fuck is YouTube keep emailing me? Oh, I did that channel.
Yeah.
I was like, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So I logged in and I look at the video that I keep getting emails about. It's at like 100-some thousand views. I'm like, what? Like, are you kidding me?
Nice.
So I'm thinking, and I'm like, all right, well, shoot, if they like the content, I'm out there every day with these folks. I can get this content like that. So that's what I did. I was like, I'm going to post at least one video every day and see where it goes. 10 days later, I was monetized.
Nice.
10 days. And literally made several $1,000s that first third of the month. Third of that month, that was the first month. And the very next month made what would be considered six-figure income. Right. Not six figures,
right.
Six-figure income. So 5 figures basically. And so, yeah, it was up, man. Like, as soon as it was up, it was stuck.
Yeah.
Like, those first, I think, 5 or 6 months, I think by the time the 6th month came, I had like 50,000 subscribers. So I was gaining almost 10,000 subscribers a month. The videos was doing well. It was lit, man. It was lit. And I was still working. I was still working full time. And Anthem's a 6-figure job too. So I was doing my 1-2, but I was tired. And yeah, that's pretty much how it popped off. And then by the time July came, that's like the end of July. That's like when I met Josias. He ended up being a big star on my channel and really helping to push the subscribership and everything else and the views. Shout out to King Joe, man. I'm not supposed to, I ain't gonna say it. I'm not supposed to say it. I don't know when this is gonna air. But yeah, I'm gonna be seeing him soon enough.
Indeed.
Long story short. Yeah, man, that's how everything had popped off. And by the time like the 9th month came, so I think it was September, I decided, all right, this is flowing, it's good, the money's good. I'm gonna leave my job, all right? And I left my job and it was up. As soon as I left my job, it's like the content went like this. It started to get even better.
Right.
I was making more money. But yeah, that's pretty much how everything went, man.
What do you say? Because I know you just addressed a little bit of that partially when you talked about the $5 situation. What do you say to the people? And because I know you've faced a lot of criticism, a lot of hate. I know you said even, I think on a live one time, you said that you get constant comments, people going off on you, saying some of the most terrible things in the comments. What do you have to say to the people who criticize your content?
Depends on why they criticize it. If they criticize it for the amount that I give people, mind your business. Mind the business that pays you. If you want them to have more, their Cash App is on the screen.
For sure.
And you could Cash App me. You like they deserve more money.
For sure.
Okay, but not every person that I interview, not every interview that I does makes it to YouTube. I don't know what I'm going to get when I start filming.
Yeah.
So I keep it at a place to where I can get the number of interviews I need in order to get the good ones. And so that's where it's at, right? And so as far as if they're criticizing for like the questions I ask and stuff like that, I believe that these questions need to be asked. A lot of the reasons why we have some of the things that go down as far as the R word, molestation, all kind of different traumas that people have is because people are scared to ask about it. People are scared to address people about it. Ask them like, did this happen? Did that happen? Stuff like that. And so I am very proud of the fact that my platform does that and has been a place where people have felt comfortable and safe enough to tell some of their darkest, deepest traumas. Sometimes, or often, I ain't gonna say oftentimes, but a good number of times for the very first time. They may have never told anybody about it. And here they are talking to a stranger that they just met 5 minutes ago. And I'm able to get that out of them. So I think it's very powerful.
Now, what's a commonality amongst the thousands of interviews that you've done with the people that you come across? Other than them being, in some of them being homeless or partially homeless. What's a commonality that you've seen?
A lot of R word and molestation or other traumas that are on the same level of that. And to be honest with you, a lot of mama trauma. A lot of mama trauma. Like we hear the trope about the deadbeat dads,
Right.
but there are so many deadbeat moms.
For sure.
A lot of them. And that is what does not get talked about nearly enough, because it needs to be addressed. Because these young ladies, they may be operating out of trauma and things like that. They have these kids, they can't raise them. Either they end up in defects or they end up being raised by the grandmom, stuff like that. And it's just tons of trauma. It's tons of trauma. When the kid doesn't have that firm, the household that's kind of together, or just stable type deal, stable family unit, stable environment, the traumas are going to be there. They're going to creep in, whether they got R-worded, molested, or not. The trauma could just be dealing with a mom that just yells all the time and it's just mean, or chooses D over their kids.
For sure.
There's tons of that.
Yep.
And so these kids grow up like that. And they don't even realize they're traumatized. Sometimes never. But sometimes they don't realize until they're like fully into their adulthood. Like, damn, my mom was shitty.
Yeah.
I love my mom. But damn, now that I look at it, now that I see how a healthy situation works, I was clearly in an unhealthy situation.
For sure.
So there's a lot of that.
I can dig it. Yeah, because I'm glad you said that, because I think the past few people that I've had on the show have addressed that exact same thing in terms of the mother and how there are deadbeat moms. And my situation, I was married once upon a time.
Yep.
And my ex-wife turned into that at one point. And in my household, my mom was like that. She was definitely one of those yellers, and how the women, how the mothers treat the daughters as competition, or they think at a certain point they feel like they gotta fight.
Be
and
all
stuff
hard
like,
on them and stuff.
hard on
Yeah.
them, yeah.
And so it turns the women a little more masculine, and half of them tend to either emasculate or baby the boy. So then now these boys are kind of like
There you go.
son husbands and things like that. It's
There you
just,
go.
and that's why we have a lot of the stuff that we have going on in our culture. Yep.
Indeed. Let's change lanes real quick. Atlanta. So this city, as I've covered before, a lot of ladies come here thinking that they can start over, then they're going to make it big, get a baller, maybe become a booty clapper, maybe a bar girl or whatever, and end up being this incredible influencer. Then you got guys come here that maybe think that they can become an influencer or make it big being a rapper or whatever have you. What's your thoughts right now as far as the city of Atlanta and the people that are here? Is it really what you, or is it like a facade?
Atlanta is not a real place. They say this all the time. Atlanta is a simulation. Atlanta is a simulation. And so your ass gonna end up on my channel. Yeah, you come on down here with no plan and no situation for a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. You're gonna end up on my channel. You're gonna end up on my channel.
Shit.
And I got tons of interviews
I'm pretty sure you
where
interviewed a lot
people
of-
say, "Oh, I came from here. I thought it was gonna be this and that. I came here. I want to do this and that." End up on my channel. Yeah. If you're from here and you have a foundation, you could always go back to mom's house and
Right.
stuff like that. Great. But if you're like coming from out of town and you already have a shaky foundation, coming here is not gonna help you. This town is deceptively expensive. It is deceptively expensive. And so if you don't have certain things in place, vehicle, housing that you know that you got, because there's tons of people that get scammed. They put $1,000, $2,000 down, and they done sent to some dude that they found the house on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist and stuff like that. And I'd have had people that done actually came down here, saw the house, then gave the money. Then when they came back, maybe like a few hours later after they went to the storage place, the locks was changed. And they can no longer get in touch with the person that they was doing the dealings with.
And this is mostly those for rent by owner or things like that.
I don't know what the listing said or anything like that, but I know that's the story that they came down here thinking that they was gonna be having a place, and they don't. And so living out of hotels and things like that is super expensive.
For sure.
Getting around is either expensive or really inconvenient.
Facts.
So if you got to do MARTA, it's inconvenient. If you got to do Uber or even the scooters and stuff like that, that stuff adds up. So that's my take on that is get yourself together before you come to Atlanta. Coming down here, you ain't going to run into T.I. You're not going to run into Jermaine Dupri.
Right.
You're not going to run into Future. You ain't going to run into these people. You're not going to Candy, Tiny. You ain't running into none of these folks. You're going to run into Marcus from Atlanta Street. Okay?
Whole world.
That's who you're going to run into.
Whole world. Jeez.
Okay? That's who you're going to run into.
Y'all heard it straight from Marcus. And this man, out of anybody, he's talked to thousands of people. And he's talked to the people that we talking about right now. He's telling you guys right now. For those of you who are planning on making that move with no plan. A question I ask other people, and I've heard this from women, I'm going to ask you. Is Atlanta a single man's or married man? Is it a man's playground?
100%, 100%, especially for our culture, right? Especially for folks that, black. Yes, it is amazing. It is just the amount of beautiful women. And I'm not the type. One of the things I disagree with Kevin Samuels that Sweetie was a 6. I'm like, nah, Sweetie's pretty. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get what he's saying, like, without makeup and all that stuff. But
how about with the BBL?
Now, the BBL, okay. So
she a 6 with the BBL?
I was about to say, she's a 6 with the BBL.
Okay.
But women that look like Sweetie, because I don't think he was talking about the BBL. I think he was talking about her face. He was talking about basically fresh out the shower, this, that, and the third. Like, yeah, Sweetie's cute. You know what I'm saying?
Cute.
I'm the type of guy, I don't need bad this and that.
Nah.
I'm a cute to pretty. That's my lane. And if you need like bad bitches, they got tons of those down here. But the cute to pretty, it's like sand on the beach. It's like sand on the beach. There are innumerable amount of women in every age range that you could possibly want down here in Atlanta. Okay? And so depending on when you catch them, how you catch them, and all that stuff matters. Because the other thing is, these women got rotations like how dudes used to have back in the day. These women got rotations. Don't think that you the only one. Like, okay? They got options just like we do if they're good looking and stuff like that. But there's so many of them that they don't end up having all those options. It's like they have them, but the nature of women doesn't allow them to like play that cock carousel for like forever. They'll have their season and then they shut it down a little bit. They don't go out as much, or they don't do this, or they don't do that. And that's when you can get them. Like, you can get them after they done messed around or been messed around by a couple guys, and they like, all right, man, let me slow down, this and that. Yeah, that's when, now they looking for a guy that got a little motion, confident, got some stuff going on, whatever it is that they're attracted to, looking for. And that's when you get them. And that's when you can more so rock with them. But when they in the middle of their whole phase and stuff, I stay away from those. Like, if I notice, if they ain't texting back like that, and it ain't because of work or something like that, they text the next day, stuff like that, they got options.
They got options, yeah.
I'm good on that. I'm going to let you do your options because I got options.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So you play with your options. You a female, you have female nature. I'm a man, I have male nature. I'm going to be able to play my options as long as I want to and not feel any type of way. You're going to play your options, it's going to start to feel bad. You're going to feel like dirty or whatever, stuff like that. And you're going to pull back. You're going to give yourself to Christ and all type of stuff. It's like, all right, I'll just wait it out type deal. They're on a shorter clock than we are.
For sure.
Me with my gray beard at 41, shout out to 41. Shout out to 1983, all right? I know I be looking or whatever. People sometimes they see the gray beard, they be like...
We the same age, man.
Right,
I'm
and
41.
you look like he got the black, I got the gray.
Man.
But I'm going to tell you something. we get to play, like for a lot of us, we get to start playing at 35.
Yeah.
Like we have whatever kind of we can get or whatever up until like mid 30s, late 30s. But once it hits this like 40, and if you got your stuff together and got your body good and everything else, oh man, it is ridiculous. You don't really have to do that much.
Don't got to do that much.
Nope.
So where's the best, what do you suggest for people to meet people in Atlanta? If you want to meet people.
Any and everywhere, literally. Like you can go to Kroger, Publix.
Right.
You can go to, I don't suggest it, but you can go, suggest it. You can go out to the club. You can go to a lounge. You can go, it depends on what type of woman you're looking for. If you want a more higher end woman, you got to go to the higher end places, right?
Sure.
Come out here to Buckhead, go to Toast, go to all the different little restaurants where it's cute and they got a little clout.
Right.
The women love those places. All right. One of my favorite breakfast spots is Toast on Lenox, but the one in Midtown on 14th Street, literally every time I go, beautiful women, like in packs. Going to eat breakfast with each other.
Yeah.
And places like that, but honestly, man, Publix, Kroger, they be a little more ratchet than Kroger, but Publix. Listen, man, okay, Publix is, I'm telling you, like, it's an underrated spot to meet women. But then just out and about.
What Drake say? Bagger like we in Publix, then take her ass out in public. Hey, grocery store. But yeah, go ahead, finish what you said.
Yeah, no, like literally any and everywhere, man. I've dealt with women that live in the same apartment unit that I live in. Like, you meet them everywhere, man.
Right.
So at this point in the game, and I can only speak to me, but I even have viewers and stuff like that want to meet me, things like that. So they just come from everywhere as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Said, because I always ask that, and I try to ask that to everybody I have on the show, where their idea of meeting people at. And you just said something that I haven't heard anybody say yet, which is everywhere. In terms of that,
when I go downstairs, I almost can guarantee there's gonna be a cute girl down there for whatever reason. Okay, when I get in my car, if I stop at the gas station and if I wait there for 10 minutes,
right,
a cute girl's gonna pull up.
Right.
Literally everywhere. Oh, the Beltline.
I keep hearing about the Beltline.
You ain't been to the Beltline?
Man, like I told you, I just been working.
Man,
here,
we about to get JR outside. I don't know what he doing. He came to Atlanta to stay inside. I don't know what he doing.
Yeah.
Brother, Beltline is lit.
I heard.
Rife with women.
Yeah.
That care about their body and they put on a cute outfit and they go out there and they walk and they work. Yeah. Man, what?
Hey, you put me up on how stuff is, man.
Man, the Beltline is super lit. Like that, I did some of my Atlanta street dating on the Beltline.
Okay.
That channel or whatever. I did it on the Beltline and I did it on Edgewood.
Okay.
At Nosh Lounge. Shout out to Nosh Lounge on Edgewood. Shout you out, Corey, man. She's one of the owners there. But yeah, Nosh
Lounge.
Nosh Lounge on Edgewood.
Yeah, I heard you say. I think I heard you say that before.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So Edgewood, in and of itself, is like a bar district.
Right.
So there's a lot of bars on Edgewood, and so people will just be outside, walking up and down the street during the summertime, on the weekends, past 11 p.m. Yeah, it's like that.
That's where it's at.
It's like that. So it depends, like I say, on what you're looking for, but bottom line is they got them from the ratchet all the way to the bougie. And in Atlanta, you can find, go wherever they are.
Right.
They're there.
Sheesh.
Yep. And they're looking for upwardly mobile guys that kind of got their stuff together and can date out here, because the truth is that dating out here is expensive too. I don't do it no more. I date women that I already have something going on with, but not like to meet and introduce myself or get to know the person. I don't do that. Ain't doing no dates.
We ain't doing no dates.
Like, if anything, we'll meet up and get a juice or something. Meet up, get a coffee, something like that. But as far as the actual, like, I'm planning a date that it's gonna cost me $150, $200 and stuff like that, no sirski.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Nah, I feel you, man. Yeah, because dating is expensive. And with that expectation, a lot of times to go to one of these restaurants or whatever, instead of just, as you said, the coffee date or whatever, or get some juice. You know what I'm saying?
Or
Keeping it simple.
just let meet up here.
Yeah.
Meet me at the park. Something like that. Listen, because let's see if we got energy. Let's see if we got a rapport. Because I've took you on a $200 date, and the dude that's your sneaky link gonna smash later on. Why do I know? Because I'm that sneaky link sometimes, right? so I be feeling like, damn, these guys. So that taught me, like, all right, you ain't gotta go on no date, because, like, I literally have had women hit me up after they dates to come get some D.
It's always like that, man. While you whining and dining her, Tyrone is just waiting either at home or in the background. Yeah, it's always like that. And I always encourage men to remember that when they doing that.
That's why I try to be Tyrone.
Yeah.
I'm Ty and I'm Tyrone.
Yeah.
I could be Ty
or
I could be Tyrone. I'm a mixed bag.
For sure. No, I feel you, man.
I'm a mixed bag.
You know, and the sooner you learn that, the better off you'll be.
Yes, sir. Nice guys finish last out here,
Absolutely, man.
So, yeah, you got to be a little bit of a monster.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Not like monstrous, but they got to know that that's in you. Mm-hmm. It's almost like they have to in order for them to respect the situation and not try you on no stuff like that.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, for sure. So question for you. With a lot of these ladies that you come across or that you know of, are they really on that type of time? I think you hinted at it earlier in terms of you have to pay me to date me.
No, not at all. Like, matter of fact, if you have to do that, you probably ain't gonna get none. She probably don't like you that much. A woman that's into you will meet you anywhere. Mm-hmm. Y'all can meet up anywhere, all right, and just ride. Like, I do that all the time. We just riding and smoking and just talking and chopping it up. Mm-hmm. Ain't nobody finna spend no money on you. No, like, I'm cheap. I'm frugal. All right, now I spend money, but I spend on things I choose to spend it on. And I'm damn sure not gonna be spending on getting to know a woman that, I gotta take her out, do this. Nah, man, I'm good. Mm-hmm. If a woman feel that way about you, the coochie ain't even gonna be good.
100.
the coochie ain't gonna be good. 100. She has to like you in order for the coochie to be, like, really good.
100.
And so if she likes you, it ain't gonna take much.
Yep.
Yeah, at this point, I ain't gonna lie, like, and it wasn't always like this, but even when I didn't have the visibility that I have now, I still work my moves. Mm-hmm. And could, like, work a move and get this chick to be all into me and everything else. It's a little bit easier now because I got the visibility. So a lot of times they're coming after me. Or if I do approach them or whatever, and once they ask me, like, what I do, and I'm like, I might say it, I might not. But if I be like, a small little channel on YouTube, whatever. Yeah. And then they look it up and I be like, well, just type in Atlanta. And on YouTube search, as soon as you start typing Atlanta, one of the options, Atlanta Street Interviews, they like, oh, you coming right up.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I was humble about it. So now they're like, okay, he wasn't, like, trying to lead with that or whatever. Right. So they see, okay, he's chill. He's cool. He's got stuff going on, whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. That's how that works now. So it's a lot easier.
That's good advice, man. That a lot of the youngins and the ones who come in here that may be confused need to know that type of stuff instead of leading with the wallet or feeling like they have to do that, especially when you have an abundance of this. If one is coming with that, on to the next one, which is the beauty of it.
And do not crack that wallet open trying to get these women. It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. There's too many wallet crackers out here. Mm-hmm. You ain't special. You ain't special. Like the fat dude with the bald head that ain't that attractive, whatever, he gonna spend the same $200 on dinner that you are.
Right.
And they know that. They're used to that. I differentiate myself by not doing none of that until after we done smashed or whatever. And then I might take you out on a nice date or whatever, but we have rapport. And so it's not a boring date. And I could be myself. I could be mannish. I could be flirty. I could be all that stuff. And it's not weird. It's not oh, he talking about sex and stuff on a date. Nah, we don't like, yeah, we're gonna talk about whatever because we already did
cool.
that. We have that rapport. We're good.
Right. Shit, that's what's up, bro. I think you hit it on the head, man. This is like coming live from the man himself in the city. What would you say, other than what you said earlier about having a plan for a young man that has aspirations to come in here? You said he should have a car, have his money straight, and
A spot.
And a spot.
Car, spot, money straight.
Yeah.
Literally. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need much. Listen, even the women that you think you need to take out on dates and stuff like that, you don't.
Right.
If they like you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now, what do you need to focus on?
Mm-hmm.
You need to, because why are they gonna like you? If you got a nice body, that's gonna be attractive. That's one of the first and cheapest things that you can work on and get going. That attractive body, man, look, somebody that they're attracted to, and me, let's just be real. I'm 5'5". I'm a short guy. And I'm a short king, and so short kings be out here winning every day. But we all know that in the general scheme of things, it's seen as an unattractive quality. So even me, my little, like, I ain't even jacked as what I was like even just a couple years ago.
Right.
But man, I take my shirt off and stuff like that. They be,
Can work on.
you know what I'm saying?
On,
like, yeah. And so as a young guy, work on your body and your effing personality.
Mm-hmm.
If you are one of these dry personality dudes, because there's tons of these guys that are handsome, tall, they even might have a nice body and whatever, but they're like talking to dry paint.
Right.
And so the ladies, they're like, ugh, because there's other tall, good-looking guys where it's not like talking to dry paint. So if you're a young man, how do you work on your personality? Go do stuff. Gain experiences. Go have things that you can talk about. Go volunteer for stuff. Go to all the little events that they have out here. There's events.
Right.
Every weekend, there's stuff to do. Join like a bike club or a running club or things like that. Have something to talk about besides like just the stuff that you do that the ladies might not be interested in.
Right.
Or if you travel, right? You travel, you could talk, oh man, I went here, I did this, I did that, I did that, do, blah, 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 da, da. And read some books. Even if it ain't books, read internet articles.
There you go.
Read something. Like have something to talk about that is interesting, that you can have banter with a lady and she can get to know, she can not just get to know you, but start to like you. Because ultimately, here's the trick.
Uh-oh.
Women sell themselves on a guy. You don't have to sell yourself to a woman. You present yourself and she'll fill in all the gaps.
Right.
She will fill it in and she will paint whatever picture that she wants in those gaps. And you ain't got to do too much. Just don't F it up.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be
right.
like the most interesting man in the world. Just have some things to talk about to where your personality can shine through. And then from there, she's gonna fill in all the other gaps. And like I say, it only helps if you have things like working out and stuff because that shows that you have like discipline. That shows that you about something. You can't just go buy a good body. You got to work for it. You got to do that. So that shows an air of masculinity, an air of discipline, all things that are mostly attractive qualities to ladies.
Absolutely. Well, that was dope, Marcus, man. I appreciate the information. Anything you want to leave for the viewers?
A lot of people say a lot of stuff about me online, right? And a lot of it has a lot of sauce on it. So I'm not going to address anything individually, but I'll say this. If you don't know me, if you don't know me personally, if you haven't met me or whatever, I get it. You could talk stuff. There's a lot of salacious headlines out there about me, okay? You can talk stuff about me, but just know this. You probably won't have that same energy when you meet me in person. And I don't say that as no threat or nothing like that, but it's just you won't. Because my energy, you can feel it. I'm not plastic. I'm as real as it gets. And that's why I'm able to get out here in these streets and talk to people who are at the bottom, who are at the lowest, because I'm non-judgmental and everything else. And I'm a human. And so sometimes, like, people like to say, oh, homeless women. It's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever, it's the same woman that you dealt with. It's just going through financial whatever.
It could happen
this
to
and
you
that's
too.
happening right now.
Yeah.
It's a woman. And I'm a man. And if we connect or whatever, it's not like I'm out there trying to connect
Predatory.
with, trying to connect with these women and this and that. No. Pretty much any time that I've ever dealt with anybody that was on the channel or anything like that, it happened either weeks or months later after they was out of the worst of their situation. And they chased me down. Like, they chased me down. And women do. I could listen, brother. Show you right now. Show you right now.
Right.
Just when I was coming here. Look, what does this say? 17. This is when I pulled up.
And she used to be?
No, she's a viewer.
Oh,
but I'm just saying, I get chased down from everybody, from viewers, from people that watch, from people that I've talked to and stuff like that. And so, for anybody that wants to critique some of that, I get it. And it's easy to. It's easy to say, he do this. But the truth is very nuanced. It's very nuanced. And I'm not some cheap date. I'm not somebody that anybody could just, no. Like, anybody I dealt with, they had some stuff that was like, it's a reason why I dealt with them. Because something was impressive to me.
Okay.
And most men would be impressed by it as well. And so it's easy to say that to me or what. And so in addition to this YouTube channel, I tell people all the time, I'm actually a full-time Uber driver and a part-time YouTuber, okay? Because the amount of running around that I do with them and taking them here, taking them there, I take them to school every morning.
Right.
I take them to soccer practice. I take them to this, take them to that. And of course, on the weekends, they be wanting to do stuff. So I'm always riding around. That's like my number one priority.
Got you.
Yeah. Yep. So that's about me. So anybody wants to throw that critique out there, I get it. And fair enough. If I put myself in those positions, I'll take whatever smoke comes with it. But just know this. It's nuanced way more than what you could possibly understand. And I highly doubt that you're going to ever approach me with that type of energy in real life. So that's just that.
Sad, brother. Appreciate you showing up once again. Shout out to you, man.
Man, listen, man. My boy. Listen, I've been watching this dude since before I had a channel. When Kevin Samuels was doing his thing and you was bumping off of that, I watched that whole come up, man. Like, you was my guy.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
man.
it's like, it's funny how you don't know, and I get this all the time, that people watch you and they feel so connected to you, man. Like, come on, man. You my brother, man. Like, it's nothing. You call me to do a podcast, I'm here.
100, man. I appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
Once again, guys, we got the great Marcus from Atlanta Street Interviews. Another episode of the Atlanta Noire Podcast. Dope episode. Hope you guys learned some stuff. He dropped a lot of game and insight on the beautiful city of Atlanta. And guys, if you haven't, make sure you guys subscribe to his channel. The link obviously will be in the title of this video, so you guys can subscribe to his channel.
Subscribe to the B-side too, because I got my backup channel, which has like my kind of wilder interviews or the interviews that, like, for whatever reason don't end up on the main channel.
For sure.
They end up on Atlanta Street Interviews, the B-side. So make sure you check that out too.
For sure. We'll have that one on there. And the dating one, is that
the dating one? I've chilled out on the dating one. Sourcing the dates, it takes a lot out of me because I'm out there in sales mode. I'm out there having to convince two people at nearly the same time. Because if you get somebody over and it takes too long for you to get the other person, they're like, all right, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I'm gonna get out.
You know what I'm saying? So you really got to be on it with the Atlanta Street dating, and I'm gonna crank it back up though.
Yeah.
Because I just think it's such a great idea.
For sure.
I love the concept. I love the content, and I'm gonna crank that back up. So be looking out for that.
Got you. Well, we'll have all those linked in the description of this video as well, guys. So make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. The same with Marcus as well. And listen, much blessings and abundance. Stick around for the next videos. It's going to pop up on the screen below. And if you guys are in the Atlanta area and you're interested in sharing your experience on the Atlanta Noire Podcast, yo, hit me up. The link is below. And with that being said, man, much blessings and abundance. Catch you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace.